Okay, so welcome to the Hexeblaumon gameplay guide right here. We are facing off against Armor Vaccine in this first game here. We're playing at locals, getting some games in right here, and yep, with our opening hand looks pretty good. We want to see our lower ends, level 3s, level 4s to work with, and alongside with our boosts, trainings, cards to search, and so we can continue to fetch pieces right here and set up. And then once the opponents sort of establish their board, we want to come out and then either to try to strip their sources and control the board that way. If not, we always have the option to play out early if we want to, thanks to playing with this whole lower end engine of giving us draw power and such. With Galgamon, Huankunmon, we can very easily climb up to a level 6 very fast. And here, we're just really missing a level 6 to work with. Either Hexeblaumon would be just fantastic. Otherwise, it would be Mirage. And sometimes going Mirage first is not too bad, because then it can help us gain a lot of memory, momentum, control, and slow down the game. And then the goal would eventually to try to finish it off with Hexeblaumon. So we did find Mirage, and trust me guys, this is not a Mirage-based deck. We're not playing Mirage. I will guarantee you guys that this build I'm running, we're finding ways to actually finish the game off with Hexeblaumon right here. And yeah, Mirage is the only level 6 we can kind of find to work with at the moment, but that's totally fine, because like I mentioned, the idea is to sort of bounce control a little bit, and then eventually, which we do find our Hexeblaumon, Hexeblaumon is going to be a very core important piece of the deck where we are still playing mainly as a 4 of to help finish the game. And again, assure you guys, we'll be finishing the game with Hexeblaumon. So you guys might notice there's a Minami in my hand at this moment. I'm actually kind of playtesting with that a little bit, but kind of after many of these games, I felt like, no, it's not that value. The idea was so that when I spit something out with Huankunmon, I can have Rush and I can make an additional check. But as you guys know, I'm not playing the Labra, I'm not playing the Searsamon line at all whatsoever in this deck. So there's really no synergy to sort of like incorporate with that. So if you guys want to see the build, be sure to check out the deck profile on the channel. That is the most updated version, or the final version that I kind of went with. I'll leave a link in the description box down below in the pinned comments or whatnot, so be sure, or just go to the channel and check it out. But you guys can see, we're controlling the board very nicely thanks to Mirage. And the idea is, we're trying to set up so then we can go into Hexeblaumon. Right here, I'm looking if there's an opportunity, because the Lunamon and Galgamon package is just super great and gaining additional memory for us. And the whole idea is to make sure we can get into Hexeblaumon and at least keep turn, or at least not give too much memory to our opponent, so we can continue to play. Love the combo right there, because then we can go into Payojamon. I didn't really want to go into the Payojamon just because, it's more ideal to, get into that to strip sources. But you guys can see how it's really nice, because if the opponent has stuff on the board, we can get rid of stuff underneath their Digimon. But I kind of felt like, we could climb up a little bit and see what we can get to. I kind of want to get rid of that TK, because if we can get rid of that TK, that's going to be great value for us as well. So I'm contemplating, do I want to end the board with a Hexeblaumon at this moment? I just felt like, I'm just going to end the board with Minami, because I don't want to give him that much memory. And aside, like I said, if we can potentially go into Huankunmon, Huankunmon can play out something, and if we can give that Rush immediately so we can make an attack with it, is going to be really nice. So we're going to continue to control the board as much as we can right here with Mirage. The longer Mirage stays, the better it is for us, because we're going to gain a lot of memory constantly. But here we're sitting in a very good position. We have a Betamon in the back ready to come out, ready to work with. We're forcing them to do something at the moment. We're taking down their security bit by bit. Although their recovering is pretty good, it is a yellow based deck after all. But we're forcing them to quickly find a way to get into their Magna X or something. And the thing I want to showcase you guys, even with Magna X, we're not that worried in particular as well. So coming back to us, we're going to see, okay, does it make sense to push out? I really want a Huankunmon, like I mentioned, but there's none in the hand. But do I see a potential lethal turn at the moment as well? Not quite, just because they do have a pretty strong Magna X blocker on there with immunity, so we can't go ahead and strip the sources right away. We're gonna need to wait the turn a little bit. Finding myself the crisp Payojamon here, which is gonna be pretty good. Alternative level 5 to work with is always gonna be nice, because then we can strip their sources if they don't find a way to gain immunity with Magna X. But they are gonna go ahead and attack using the Narumon egg to trash their own security to gain a memory. There's our Huankunmon that we kind of want to have to work with. But now here, yeah, they go for 2 hits into us, coming down with Yulin, giving us only 1 memory to work with afterwards. But we're in a pretty good position here because we can actually potentially go for a game-winning play. So we're going to go ahead as first go into Galgamon, and I love the synergy with Galgamon with Mirage. You guys know how much memory you guys can gain off of that, which is crazy. And this is the whole reason of setting up those cards and having those boosts and having all these memory gaining effects. Like I mentioned, it's just incredibly important, because so that again we can get into Hexeblau and not pass our turn. We can get into level 5, we can get into Hexeblau, and then we can also bomb deck one of our tamers potentially. But again, Magna X has sources and it has immunity, so we're not going to be able to bomb deck any of the tamers. But you know what, I felt at this moment we can go into the Mac Gao since they have more than 8 cards in their hand, which is always easy. And I felt like, hey, there's actually a lethal combo. We have more than enough swings to actually finish them off as well. So I'm going to Digivolve straight into the Hexeblau either way. Not going to be able to bomb deck the tamer because they do have Digimon with sources too, but we're going to go ahead to swing 2 checks. Unsuspend with Mac Gauga. And then they are going to get their unsuspending from there. Finding a TK, so they have to fetch 1, but now we have 3 hits, which they can't block all of it at all. So we're just going to go ahead and attack. Hexeblau is really good because of Ice Clad as well, and then we can just easily finish the game off. Alright, game 2, we are facing off against Gallantmon. Looking with our opening hand, looks pretty good to work with as usual. Seeing our lower end, we're just trying to climb up our Digivolution stack as much as we can. Having a rookie plus a training or some sort of searching card is always going to be fantastic, especially we're going second. We're going to have an extra card to work with as well. So yeah, priority, just try to find our line, climb up as much as we can. Looks like our opponent is not finding a rookie on their end at the moment. So we can take our time a little bit, go for the Blukumon, finding ourselves Hexeblau, which is really good because now we have pretty much all our pieces that we need to climb all the way up 4, 5, and 6. And then all we have to do is just kind of set up cards and then sort of like sit there a little bit. Looks like they're hard slam level 4, so they're breaking a little bit at this game. And I'm contemplating if I want to go ahead and swing first, because usually with Gallantmon, it kind of makes sense because they have stuff that can pop us. But at the same time, like I'm trying to also play around like the BT12 Gallantmon in case they are, because it's just a really good card which can trash our security as long as they don't pop anything at 6k or lower. So I kind of feel like, you know, maybe it makes sense to keep some bodies on the board. And I feel like, okay, maybe I want to work with this Lunamon the next turn, because the additional memory gain, if they don't find a way to remove it, it's going to be really good for us as well. But as you guys can see in hindsight, Wargroundmon came out and we really should have just swung with the Blukumon just to get an extra chip away, just because, hey, Gallantmon also removes it as the same time. Now we're basically working with a completely empty board, but we just got to push out here. We only have a full line to go ahead. We got to keep cycling. We're going to keep cards going and drawing and such. So we're going to use the mental trading, go into Galga. They're not going to have enough cards in their hand at the moment for it, but again, we really have to go for it. Huangkunmon's going to play out Betamon. Betamon at least gets to stun down the Gallantmon for the time being, and then we could sort of continue to play a little bit. Don't want to give them too much memory. Going to Paildramon to strip the rest of the sources so they can't get any inheritables is probably the whole idea here, but they're going to answer back with a Crimson Mode Ace, just clearing off our entire board, and kind of got a little bit punished because now we don't have any level 4s to work with anymore, and basically forced to hard slam across Paildramon, hoping for the best. We have lots of level 5s to work with, but no level 4s because we overextended a little bit, and I just didn't want to give them that much memory to work with at that moment, which is why. So, but don't worry guys, we'll continue to try and play and try to make a comeback off of it. It's still playable, it's still doable for sure. We're still pretty healthy on security at the moment. It's still a little bit too early in the game just to give up just yet. So Crimson Mode Ace is going to swing and trash 1, checking into mental training, which is really good for us because then we can utilize it. It's going to give us a lot of value. We do play a whole lot of these ones. We have like 4 mental trainings, 4 blue memory boosts. So, you know, it's really going to likely hit in security and give us value here. Oh, hey, look, like I mentioned earlier, we have this, but still no level 4 to work with, which is really tough. And I see a really good opportunity here actually, because thanks to the mental training and blue memory boost, I actually see a potential lethal combo that I can actually finish this entire game, possibly in this turn. 5 checks in one go. So we're gonna first go into Hexeblau, and Hexeblau is gonna strip the sources off their Digimon, and we get to bomb deck their tamer as well. And we have Ice Clad, so we don't have to worry about the DP, and there's a juicy Ace Overflow 5 on the board right there. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and swing over it, and I'm actually gonna be piercing for 3 checks. Giving them a Timecodes, like I mentioned earlier, that's the whole reason why I didn't really want to chip away, because I might potentially give them value off of it. But the whole intention is because I'm going to go for lethal, but as you can see, not anymore. And really unfortunate when Hexeblau doesn't have jamming, which is really important. That's why it needs jamming. And we end up getting deleted security. But the whole idea was when they're going to go through all the 3 checks, I was potentially going to find a way to swing and then unsuspend and then also go into Blitz Omni to finish it off. I was kind of trying to see if I can go for that potential play. But now because of that, we just need to deal with that Wargroundmon somehow. So this is why I went into the Galgamon. Now they had 8 cards in hand. I was able to gain that memory back, you know, play it all, and then go into Playtesting and swing over that Warground with Ice Clad as well at the same time. So we're still pretty good position. They're setting up 2 tamers. It can be fairly dangerous because we only have 1 security to work with afterwards. And trust me guys, like I said, I know this is not a Mirage deck. It is still at the end of the day a Hexeblau deck. I had the intention to finish the game with Hexeblau as well. In that prior turn, if it wouldn't have been deleted. And yeah, well, we found our second one, and we, you know, that was the only other level 6 we had in hand that we can work with. So we're gonna go ahead and chip, make them out of security, gain a little bit of memory usually, and then we can go into Playtesting at the back. And I was gonna mention, usually this is a card that, like you guys saw from the previous game, it's ideally to have it as your first initial stack, just to control a little bit, but ideally in the late game stages, you just want to see Hexeblau instead, because I'd rather see Hexeblau there as well, because I could potentially bomb deck their Timecodes to prevent them from being able to play. But they have enough resources essentially here, and they can just hard play that Guilmon, which is kind of interesting because it tells me they're probably missing a specific piece. And as we're talking during the time, apparently our opponent was missing a Gallantmon for them to finish us off, to also potentially get as much value off of it, which is kind of unfortunate. So they end up getting that BT13 Gallantmon, and it looks like they're actually finding a way to end of turn bio merge and go into it, and that's their only one form of answer at this point. And it's still pretty scary because it can potentially delete things, but we managed to meet that threshold of not being deleted by its effect. So they're gonna go ahead and swing over it. And surprise, we have the Paladin mode ace in the beginning, which countered them, so they get deleted. And unfortunately, they just conceded because there's no follow-up, and we'd have won the next turn anyways. So for this game, we're gonna take it up a notch. We're gonna be facing off against Imperial here, one of the best decks of the format for sure. And looking at our opening hand, pretty good to keep because all we're missing is really just a level 4, and we are going second as well, so we have something to work with to search and cycle and draw. And there we go, we have a 3, 4, 5 all the way up to 6. This is really perfect, really good setup. It's nice that they want to set up the Davis and Ken in this matchup, especially in the early stages, because they want to get as much value. But for us, it gives us a better clapback as soon as we get into Hexeblaumon, where we can strip their sources and get rid of their stuff and basically bottom deck that Davis and Ken. That's my main target goal. I ended with the Lunamon just to sort of like bait them out a little bit, because it can potentially give us a lot of memory to work with the next turn. And here they did take it, and they immediately came out with Lydramon and basically try to swing over and get rid of it, and we can actually still continue off our combos. Seeing that Lydramon with Armor Purge doesn't matter to us at all, because thanks to Playtesting, it strips away sources and it plays around that Armor Purge. Here I can even think of like actually sort of maximizing my efforts to clear their entire board, going into the usual Huankunmon, play out Betamon, stun down their Lydra, but it doesn't matter because I actually plan to swing over it and get rid of it anyways. And I'm actually going to end with Hexeblau, giving them nothing left to work with aside from the Primogenerator. And bottom decking that Davis and Ken becomes really crucial because they're no longer able to play anything out for free, and they haven't even been able to utilize it. And this gives us a really good opportunity because they don't have a way to answer it with an empty board. And this is where we can showcase the favorite combo that I've been trying to execute the entire time of this whole idea of this, the way of how this deck is built. 4 checks, 2 at a time with jamming. And that's why jamming is really important. As we can see, there was a spicy Quartzmon in there waiting for us as well. And we're pressuring for lethal already at this point. Kind of unfortunate that there was no level 4 for us to Digivolve in the back for 2 costs just to press them perfectly back to 3 with Davis. So that was a little unfortunate there, but that's okay. You know, we're gonna end with a memory boost, and they're gonna come out and go ahead and go for their DNA combos. This is really important because with Hexeblaumon, it prevents them from suspending at all during their turn if they have equal or fewer. So that Playtesting that they have has equal sources, meaning it can't attack and it can't get the value, which is really good and really important, especially when it comes to like playing against Hexeblaumon, but also establishing that Hexeblaumon and having that Hwankunmon allows us to add additional sources as we go, so we can build bigger and bigger. And they're basically forced to just hard play out the Vmon here and continue their search. We're not able to suspend because of Playtesting, which is unfortunate. Otherwise we could have tried to end the game, but we can take it a little bit slow and pressure all over again. I'm debating if I want to play out a Lunamon just to sort of like force them to find a way to remove it, but I also felt like, okay, I really need a level 4 here, so I decided to hard play that Bulkomon so I can actually search and find a level 4, potentially climbing all the way up to another stack the next turn, depending on how much memory they pass back to us. But if not, we're going to try and attempt to swing with lethal. We do have to be careful about the fighter mode ace potentially. We have to be careful of Primogenerator as well, just because they can actually digivolve and do all those shenanigans to go into something, protect it from battle, and then take us down. But the whole Playtesting is again currently stunned, so their only way to sort of play around it is to find a level 6 to get into it preemptively. And if they're not able to, then our Hexeblaumon is just giving us a lot of value here. They're passing with Davis and Ken to finish it off, so we can actually have a lethal combo here. Now again, I'm trying to play around the ace just in case, because the fighter mode ace could potentially get rid of our Hexeblaumon and be ruining everything. But with the amount of memory we have to work with, Playtesting can strip the bottom 2 sources and then using blue memory boost to get into Zoodle ace alongside with mental training to get rid of the rest of the sources and bounce that Playtesting, no partition for them, so then we can actually play around the ace. We can go around and swing with Hexeblaumon, tucking the blue code underneath to unsuspend, and we can finish it off like that. Alright, so we got a bonus game, 4 games in this video, so if you guys haven't done so yet, be sure to like, appreciate the support, and yeah, shout outs to War, because we were just having some fun. We're just playing some side games afterwards from the previous game, so we decided to go for a bonus one, and we want to see how it's like, because War is the Omnimon master, and shout outs to him from Team Case Hunters. If you guys haven't done so yet, be sure to check them out as well. Leave a link in the description box down below. And yeah, we wanted to see what this matchup is like. I never played it before, and we get to find out. So just so you guys know, we played a full set of 3 in this one as well, and War actually just won against me, but this is the only game I was able to take away off of him. So I wanted to showcase you guys a little bit of, yeah, you know, we had a little bit of chance there as well. So with our mulligan hand, it doesn't look the greatest, but it's a lot more workable compared to our previous hand, because we were just stuck with a bunch of level 5s and a level 4. Not at all. So at least here we can climb up. So far, my plan is to try to get into a Mirage if I can, and I feel like here at this moment, I don't have any search pieces, I don't have any search cards I can play out to sort of help me find other things and sort of like go for a bigger clapback. So I'm kind of forced to push out here, and Digimon's a Galgamon here, not going to be able to gain a memory, just because they don't have more than 8 cards in hand. So that's totally fine, because I felt like this is a pretty good choke here. I can just play a Hwankunmon. Hwankunmon is going to play out the Betamon by digivolving into it, gain that memory with Buka, and put them perfectly at 1. But they do have the answer with Greymon here deleting a Hwankunmon, and then that's a little bit unfortunate, because our backup follow-up plan was to actually go into Mirage the next turn and start controlling the board as much as possible. Now we're basically level a Betamon here, and 3 memory to work with is nice, and I only have 1 rookie. I don't really want to digivolve into that Bulkomon. Usually I like to save it for the search, and not having the jamming and the right inheritable is not the best either, but I feel like I just don't have a choice, because I gotta think a little bit here. If there's a way to answer this board, then might as well just go into a Zoodle ace and put them perfectly back at 1, so that at least I can strip some sources and bounce it. And yeah, they could potentially get into that Greymon again, but at least it can't pop the Zoodle ace just because it doesn't have those DP buffs in order to pop it, and with Gabumon alone, it's not there. So they're gonna go for this hard play with the War Grey. Looks like they're just gonna go straight into their warping combos, and then with the warping combos, they're probably gonna go for the end of turn like here, as we can see with Omni Ace. And of course, by getting rid of the Zoodle, Ace Overflow, clearing up the rest of the board, really good trashes on the security, you know, because if we had that Wisdom Training, would have been way better position. And then they swung into the Pale, which, you know, we can't really utilize. So we're kind of stuck here. kind of danger zone. You know, we could easily just lose the next turn if they don't have the pieces. So we're gonna have to just try to set up as the best we can, just because there's not much we can really do to stop them from attacking into us afterwards. So it's really a matter of fact if they have Alter B or not. And it looks like they don't have it, because if they have it, they would have actually just gotten to it and just finished the game off. And they just pass us personally back at 3 with the Ty and Matt here, and they get to play another Ty and Matt and Ty actually from EX4 as well, which is a card I haven't seen in a little while, but it definitely works in the deck, and it's definitely a really good add-on as well as a tech. So here we're actually forced to do something. We are down to 0 security against their 5, and here we're gonna show you guys how we can potentially make a clapback and come back against this deck. So we're gonna go into Hexeblaumon, play out Bluco. Bluco is gonna search and whiff, which is why I really generally don't like having the Bluco. And now I gotta find a way. Okay, I gotta stop the board. I know there's no rookie at the back to work with, so they can't just push out and do a whole bunch of stuff just yet. Again, the whole goal is to try to give them as little memory as possible. So then the idea would be to use mental training, go into Hexeblaumon, strip away the sources so that the Omni is completely stunned. Even if they go into Alter B, they just can't finish the game off, unless if they get rid of Hexeblaumon with Alter B. But then at least we can bottom deck their Tamer and slow them down. It looks like they still haven't found it just yet, so we got a chance. We have a chance, we have a fighting chance, and we can actually potentially try to do our best to make a comeback. But things are looking scary. They're searching, they're cycling, you know, hard playing that Gabu, gaining memory back as well at the same time, and going into a Metal Guard, warping all over again and stunning our board. We're like stunning each other out back and forth at this point. But at least the Metal Guard keeps us shut for 1 turn, so as long as we're open up the next turn, we can try to threaten over it. But you know, we're stopping them permanently as long as Hexeblaumon is here. So continue to finding a way and see like, okay, we need to continue to set up for a potential next turn explosive play. Just because we can't attack, we can't do anything right here. Omnimon has blocker as well, so we have to pay attention to that. But because of Ice Clad, we have the upper hand. So with Omnimon, even if it blocks, we're not going to check into DP. That's one thing I'm keeping worry about as well, because Hexeblaumon is just so packed with those effects. I'm trying to see, okay, what's the best way to sort of set up for the next turn and then sort of like try to come out really strong. I really want to save the Galgamon in my hand to Digivolve in the following turn so I can gain that memory back, effectively making it 1 cost. But you know what? Like, I just got to give them as little memory as possible. So I ended with a Jokito, trashing the other source, suspending it to put them at 1 memory. And I know potentially I'm going to try to trash another source the next turn so that I can gain additional memory off of that, instead of trying to greed and come out with a rookie. Just because also, like, yeah, so we can climb straight into level 5, go for the Hong Kong combos anyway. So they go over into Greymon here, still not able to suspend thanks to Hexeblaumon. Hexeblaumon is really trying to keep us in the game right here. And they need to find a second Omnimon at this point. And they're cycling a bit, but not enough. And it looks like they're Digivolving, and here we thought that it's all over. But unfortunately for them, and fortunately for us, we still got another chance. They don't have a second Omnimon ace. So this is the moment I was thinking, oh, are they trying to bait into us or anything? Or is there some kind of spicy play? And they give us a lot of memory to work with, which is really good. So I'm being really cautious. But as I'm thinking, if they had the Omni ace, they would have just went into it and finished us off anyways, right? So this moment, like, you know what? It's all or nothing. Let's come out. Bukumons are so good. Double Bukumons gain memory each. Remember, Bukumon triggers, even though it doesn't have to be specifically that Digimon in the stack. As long as you play out from a source anywhere, you gain a memory. Betamon's gonna stun something down, although it's not really gonna matter because we're just stopping them from attacking, because we're trying to actually finish in this specific turn. So I'm just checking Omni Ace, what else does it do? And double checking, because I was like second guessing myself a little bit. What if they have one? Because if they have one, it's just all doomed. And you know what? Like I said, it's time to commit. It's time to finish it off. So I'm just trying to find the best ways to sequence this all together. So I'm going to go for Hexeblaumon, try to attempt for 2 checks, and then suspend. And if they block here, we Ice Clad battle, and we're going to gain a lot of memory. So ideally, maybe I should try to climb up first, because then I could maximize the ace overflow. But I'm going to go for another 2 checks, 4 checks in 1 go. And this is sort of like the whole OTK combo. And we can finish it off with Mirage, bouncing their security. And then we're going to try to attempt to attack here as well with it. And they block. And Mirage is gone. And there's a lot of ways. We had Lana, we have Blitz Omni, and we just use that to finish off the game.
Don't forget to get your very own copy of the Star Shooter playmat and memory marker on the AVAULT store right now. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. See you in the next video. It is AVAULT, signing out.